Hello, and welcome to learning how to paint calligraphy nail art. My name is Reese. I'm here to teach you. So the first thing I would like to say is that a really great way to practice is with a calligraphy brush pen on paper. This is one I got off of Amazon for pretty cheap. It has a brush tip. This one is a fountain pen, so you can fill it with your own ink. I use it very frequently. I use it to practice. The reason I say to use a brush tip is because when you use, there are lots of other calligraphy pens you can use to practice, but with brush tips, you are more likely to get an idea for what it's like to paint nail art with a brush like this. When you are doing calligraphy on nails with a brush, you want it to be a fine brush, like so. I'm trying to get it to focus. There we go. So you want it to be a fine brush like this. This one used to be longer and it used to be thicker. I gave it kind of a haircut to make it this thin. If you ever do that, you're going to want to make sure that there are very small bristles towards the end and that it tapers bigger as it goes down. So that's kind of what you want your brush to look like. The next thing I would say is that rather than using gel polish out of a bottle like this one's from Light Elegance, this is a cat eye. Rather than using gel polish out of a bottle like that, you're going to want to use probably a potted gel polish. The reason I say that is because they are usually more viscous. See how this one I scooped out of it earlier? It's holding its shape. You want it to look kind of like that as you are working with it. You want it to stay in place. Typical gel polishes out of a bottle will not stay in place. And I know from experience that when you take polish and put it on a palette like this out of a bottle and then you put it on your brush, it's going to beat up on your brush and it's not going to make clean lines. You're not going to have as much control. I highly suggest getting a spatula like this, metal spatula. It doesn't have to be a metal spatula. You can use disposable ones as well, but metal spatula is what I use. I also suggest having a pump bottle of acetone or alcohol, anhydrous alcohol if you can, alcohol that has no water in it, so 100% alcohol. And yeah, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to draw lines. First of all, how to load your brush. So when you are loading your brush, you want to make sure that you are making the product on the brush as thick as you want the line to be. So for example, I'm loading it very thin right here. See that? Make sure it's as thin as you can get it for a thin line. And then when you actually place the line, you want to pull. You don't want to push, because when you push, you have less control. So see how clean that was? Here, let me see if I can get it to focus. Very clean line. That was very rudimentary, but you know. So anyway, you're going to want, if you want a thicker line, you're going to want more product on your brush. With this particular product, I like to kind of jiggle the bristles in there to get it nice and loaded. See how that's thicker? That's a little bit thicker. And then one thing to keep in mind is that when you have more product on your brush like that, it's going to taper as you pull the brush. So that is a little bit thinner toward the bottom. So since there is more product there, here, one second. There we go. So since there is more product there, you can actually take the product that's on the nail and pull it down to make the line more uniform. So, yeah. Another thing I would recommend doing is practicing loops and curves. So when you are making a curve, come on. When you're making a curve, you don't want to go all the way through the curve with one stroke. You want to make sure that you are doing it in sections. So I'm going to start making this curve. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to turn it. And then go back into the curve you already made. Load up your brush again if you need to. Come on. I apologize for the zooming issues. The focus issues, rather. And then actually with certain scripts, sometimes you can use the tapering of the product to your advantage. So for example, I'm going to use this curve that I just made to make an Old English C. So I highly recommend using a reference, especially with new scripts that you are not as familiar with. Just have it on your phone or on your computer right beside you. Then what you do is you just use the product to your advantage. So, for example, like I just said, if you have enough product on your brush, you can pull it in the direction that you need it to go. Come on. After you've already placed it. So there's that. We're going to get more product on the brush. And then we are going to make another little... See, this curve is a little bit more shallow, so that was able to be done in one stroke. Then for this particular C, we're going to do a thin line just going down from the top to the bottom here. I loaded my brush up very thin there. Feel free to correct as needed. Sometimes your line may end up a little bit thicker. That is okay. But yeah, so that is an Old English C. Sometimes you need to correct the curvature of the line, make it a little cleaner. But yeah, please let me know if you have any questions.